So you shut up.
Why everybody hates Yachty? How to ruin everything you built? With all these videos, one could ask, is Yachty falling out of touch or just becoming what he hates? All this drama going on between Yachty, his ex-signee Caribou, and just his actions the past few years, the people kind of turning on. What's good, gang? It's SB Cap, the Bonded Bandit. And today we're going to talk about how Yachty aligning his brand with Drake might have been the worst thing for the rapper's career, and how he's become everything he stood against.
My nigga, chill.
So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with the timeline of Yachty's career before becoming Drake's right-hand man, from flipping burgers in high school to getting caught with stolen credit cards in college, Yachty always felt as though he was meant to be rich and famous. And real quick, I'm not going to be going too in-depth with his backstory or come up, as it's not the main focus of this video. I'm going to be linking people who do it better down below, and I'll be using some of their clips to speed up explanations. So let's get into it. Yachty always felt as though he was meant to be rich and famous. After dropping out of school and grinding music, his song Minnesota got picked up by OVO Sound Records in 2015. This is right before the major blow up in 2016, by the way. But little did Yachty know it at the time, this wouldn't be his last run-in with Drake. But through Ian Connor, he got the chance to be a model for a Yeezy show, where he will later share this humble tweet. Today, 5 years ago, I stood in the Yeezy show. I was still living with my mom and flew on a buddy pass to New York, with probably 70 bucks to my name. But I was mad excited, and I feel like my life changed from that day on. My mom and friends cheered me on via text. Thanks, Ian. Inspiring. Truly motivating. In that same year, he got in a beef with Soulja Boy, where Soulja Boy basically disrespected Yachty, saying he was a fan. Let's play the video.
They keep on writing me, talking about, man, Lil Yachty, he a fan of you, he look up to you. Man, I don't give a fuck, nigga. You shouldn't text me asking about no bitch, nigga. Fuck you talking about, nigga. You ain't never even met this bitch in your life, nigga. Hey, this is my last video for that bitch ass, ugly ass nigga, Lil Boat. Nigga, I don't even fuck with you. Your music whack as fuck. You call my management talking about I need to meet Soulja. I met your bitch ass at my house. You was whack. I heard your song One Night On, bro. That shit was lame as fuck, nigga. You was a groupie. You talking about Soulja, I look up to you. I'm your biggest fan. But look, bro, when I see you, I'ma beat you, bro. On my mom. I'ma beat your motherfucking ass, bro.
And as you can see, Yachty really was a fan. But it turns out Soulja Boy hating was just over a girl called India Love. But this starts a pattern that little Yachty shows us, which is that he's just a humble young guy having fun. From his TikTok.
Is your hair hard?
Is it hard?
Like, it looks like it's super wet.
It's like wet and hard. But
To his overall personality.
Like a normal human being on the edge of it. Yes, sitting normal. There's me laying a sleepy boat, relaxing and living life to the fullest of capacity. Yes. Jungle boy boat, sitting in a curious way. And that's me at the top, because bitch, I'm at the top, bitch. Woo!
In fact, he symbolized laid back and good vibes so much, his music became a subgenre for itself called bubblegum music or bubblegum rap. You ever heard the saying, don't take my kindness for weakness? Well, the old heads in rap took Yachty's kindness for weakness. Mainly, I know you're wondering why I'm focusing so much on Yachty's personality / how he's perceived by the public. It's because this is really important to why I think Drake and Yachty even got close in the first place, and why Yachty is acting the way he is now. Now, on the matter of Drake, what does he even have to do with this video? As you know, both Yachty and Drake have gotten close over the years, but if you look at it, they both share a lot of similarities that honestly make it kind of obvious why they're friends in the first place. Firstly, we know that Drake has always been the butt of the joke in hip-hop, even now with the Kendrick versus Drake beef. But so was Yachty. Not only was he hated by old heads, but there was a time when Yachty couldn't escape the corny and mid allegations. But they both earned their respect by dominating musically, with Drake currently sitting at 11 IRA gold records, 125 platinum records, and 2 diamond records. And there's only 138 diamond records in the world, by the way. And with Lil Yachty sitting at 15 platinum records, 16 gold records. And not only that, Lil Yachty has been in 13 TV commercials, 2 movies, 1 animated and 1 live action, and has a major #1 hit as a writer for the City Girls. So it's no surprise that the two will hit it off when they're both successful underdogs who were hated, mocked, and ostracized by their peers and the public for being feminine men, and you know, amongst other things too. But what I feel that the people didn't expect is how hard Yachty is willing to go for Drake. Enter the Drake and Yachty podcast, where at the time, the public probably thought it was to celebrate their newly found friendship. But looking at it now, we can see a different angle of it, including how hard Yachty is willing to go for Drake and what the dynamic of their friendship really is.
I talk to a lot of people all the time, and I think the one
thing that I've always, the biggest conversation that I have, obviously when you're like with people who just don't know you or people who just assume, is that like, just the conception people have of you in their mind. And it's so insane. And I can remember being younger and maybe having certain conceptions, but they were never like the ones that I hear now, you know, like just like what people really assume. And then I had to step back. It's, I guess when you know someone, it's hard to even see something from someone's point of view who doesn't, you know? But like when you just start and think about it, like, I mean, I don't think you've done it even in an interview in so long. Past that, I think all people really have to live off is music and Instagram posts, you know, and shit like Alex posting a video with the ring, with the necklace, you know, like just things that little people, like people depict shit, and then they just create this synopsis of like you as a man. And when we first started hanging out and got really close, it used to like really irritate me and piss me off. Like I've been in lots of arguments.
You would get really upset. Oh yeah. And you would text me and be really upset.
Well, you know, I'm just very defensive. Over our friendship.
I know.
That's honest. But
supposedly in Yachty's podcast, A Safe Space, that just got canceled, by the way, the fans say his sarcastic tone and light jabs at the guests is kind of his whole thing, which I will say is true. It's one thing that I saw that was pretty consistent between all his episodes. But one thing that stands out is that he talks a lot. So much so that it kind of pissed me off. In some episodes, he even talked more than the guests themselves. Compare that with his podcast with Drake and you can see a clear difference. You see, he treats his guests kind of like an afterthought, like he's the guest. But with Drake, he's willing to hear him out and kind of taking what he has to say. And I feel like that's been Yachty's biggest mistake, taking everybody else's word as a second thought. But who can blame him? Yachty is angry. With now 2 failed music groups under his belt, everyone always being quick to see him as the bad guy, and with him just starting to get his flowers, he probably feels like it's long overdue, or maybe he still deserves more, and Drake is the only person that sees and understands this. But when this anger comes out in the wrong ways, it leads to situations like the Caribou and Mitch situation. So let's dig into it. And don't worry, I know most of you already know the situation. But Bolt came out and said Caribou was no longer part of the Concrete Boys. Then Bolt and Mitch fell out after the Key Glock podcast, for Yachty calling out Mitch in front of Key Glock, which went viral, with people saying he was wrong for that. And then Yachty cancels the podcast, which then make people say that was a petty move because he was taking money from his friend. But he says he canceled it because Mitch wouldn't come out and say it was a joke. Then a Red Lobster employee says she met Caribou, and Caribou told her that the Concrete Boys bullied her and was mean to her, which was then followed up with a picture, which then causes Yachty to expose her and Mitch.
Tell the whole story. Go ahead, tell people how you verbally abuse people. Alright? Don't get on here and make it seem like niggas kicked you out. Like niggas kicked you out cause bullying you. Bro, go ahead, tell people how you talk to people. How you tell my security guard, oh, you homeless, oh, you work for me, oh, you ain't got no, you're poor, and we above you, and how you talk to people like they nothing. You talk to people like they small, like they beneath you. Bro, hold on. Tell people how you verbally abuse people. How you told me you gonna spit on me when you see me. Tell people how you talk to people, bro. How you your brain is clinically imbalanced, bro. How you disrespect people. How you go around treating people in your everyday life. I've been letting you do this whole thing where you act like you like a princess and you sweet and you know like, oh, you just such a good girl. Bro, stop the front, bro. Internally, we have withheld your actions since the beginning of me giving you this career. What are we talking about, bro? What the fuck are we even talking about, bro? You don't even do nothing. What the fuck? Yo, bro, it's so crazy to me, bro, because I've given you a career, and time to time you just disrespect me. I wrote every fucking verse you've done. I dressed you. I dressed all 5 of y'all niggas, bro. I dressed 5 niggas.
The situation gets a little deeper than this, with response videos and a girl coming out to defend Mitch. But to be honest, none of that matters for this video, and I kind of don't care. What all this comes down to is that Yachty wants to be recognized. Even after exposing his 2 friends, his intentions were right. For example, when he exposed his friend Caribou, well, his ex-signee, He could have just said he wrote her songs and she didn't have enough natural talent to make up for her behavior. And since that he wrote her songs for her, he could always replace her with a new face. See what I'm saying? And for the Mitch situation, he could have just said things between him and Mitch behind the scenes weren't good and came out as a distasteful joke in public on the podcast, and that he told Mitch to clear it up for the people and that he chose not to, and we just couldn't solve our disagreements. To basically sum up Yachty's problem right now, let's read what fans in Yachty's actual Reddit, like his own Reddit, think. Yachty has improved as an artist exponentially. He's 10 times the artist that he was back in the late 2010s. With that being said, he was back then, so being 10 times that isn't saying a whole lot. I think he's confused the industry being in awe of how much better he's managed to get, with the industry thinking he's one of the GOATs, hence the ego he has now. His music is dope, but Yachty still has so much further to go before being anywhere near the GOAT conversation. And another fan of his Reddit says, to follow up that last one, couldn't agree more. I believe he feels as if he's owed more respect for all he has done for people in the industry. Yet the problem is, we the audience truly don't know what he does for the people behind the scenes. It's just speculation that he's written for at least 8 people this year. He feels like he shouldn't be as humble as people say because of all he does for folks. Literally creating careers and creating hits for artists. And honestly, if you think about it, it makes sense. The problem with Yachty is let the people speak for you. You know what I'm saying? You gotta earn the GOAT status. You can't put it on yourself. But yeah, it makes sense. He wasn't loved back then, but working hard, he showed everyone he has more to give than the old redhead Yachty. The problem comes when Yachty thinks people still aren't appreciating him enough. If the biggest pop star / rapper in the world can see it, why can't anyone else? But because of the recent Drake beef, how Yachty defended him.
Ever hooked up with someone's girl?
I don't know, probably.
Yo, is that why everybody's mad at your boy?
Cause he fucked bitches?
No, cause he fucked their bitches.
I think people just hate on Drake cause he's the guy. It's no like.
Feel like there's something extra on it.
It's also probably that he's fucked everyone's bitch. Yeah.
My suspicion was like, yo, this shit got to be personal.
I mean, he's also that guy though. All the records, all the numbers. Like he's the one. And
Yachty's constant angry outbursts, I think people just think he's feeling himself a little bit too much because of Drake. And honestly, he probably is. And this shows when he leaks a song that wasn't allowed to drop because the person who owned the sample didn't want it to drop, who I'm going to refer to as Mr. Hotspot. But Yachty leaked it anyways. And it gave off the vibe that Mr. Hotspot will be lucky to have Drake and him on his sample. So to sum it up, Lil Yachty thinks he deserves more. And if you still aren't convinced that Yachty believes he deserves more, remember when I mentioned that Joe Biden? I said Joe Biden. Have I been saying Joe Biden this whole time? Remember when I mentioned that Joe Budden and Yachty podcast 8 years later? Well, in that podcast, Yachty shows his true colors. Watching this whole podcast, I got the vibe that Yachty still wanted validation from Joe. In fact, this might be the only person left he wants it from. I say this because of how Yachty handled this podcast. Yachty always prepares questions for his guests, but for Joe, all he prepared were his worst moments. In fact, this was so obvious that Joe himself even said that this was a podcast of his lowlights rather than his and tries to belittle Joe one more time by saying he can beat him in a verse, which if you don't know, especially for rappers in Joe's generation, that's like, but I want to give props to Joe Budden. He was really prepared and he handled himself really maturely for whatever Yachty had to throw at him. But that's it. If you think Yachty's recent friendship with Drake and finally getting some respect in the industry got to his head, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. It's been that boy SB Cap, the Bonnet Bandit, reminding y'all boys to keep getting the bag. I'll see y'all soon.